This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monte Mohr with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow, log, and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at talkmusiccity.com. Ask questions at talkmusiccity.com.
Monty!
Carey Ann, so good to see you.
So good to see you.
Heard you had a heck of a birthday shindig recently.
Hey, life is too short. You should celebrate every day, right? Find a reason to celebrate.
It goes by quick, that's for damn sure. I can't believe I'm 71 years old, but loving every moment of it.
We're not going to tell my age, though. We'll tell yours and not mine. I love it.
Hey, we've got one of our new agents here with us I'm really, really excited to connect our audience with and connect you with, Mike Wegzyn. Mike, welcome to the
welcome, Mike.
Welcome to the family here, brother.
It's good to be here.
It's I was so impressed with you the first day I met you. Only not because you're taller than I am. Well, that was part of it. You know?
That's not easy to do. Finding those.
You know, when you grow up, I was 6'5" in 8th grade, and when you're tall all the time, you don't realize that you're looking down on people. It's just your normal. You know what I'm talking about.
We're normal height, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I'm the short one.
When somebody comes up tall as you or taller, it's like, holy cow, this guy's really tall. You know. So anyway, we're thrilled to have you as part of the family here with Realty One Group Music City. But you know, it's not often that I get as blown away by somebody's story and backstory and energy and foresight and so forth. So I wanted to make sure we had a chance to sit down here and talk about that, and today's the day. So thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me, guys.
So tell us, we have a thought process anyhow, that before people believe the messenger, before they can believe the message, they've got to believe the messenger. And so tell us, who's Mike Wegzyn? Tell us about that. You're from Detroit?
Detroit, yes.
Holy smokes.
So that is a packed little bit. Who is Mike Wegzyn? That's a great question. I guess for me, in this industry at least, and how I am in business, right, I agree exactly with what you just said. You know, before they're going to believe the message, they got to believe the messenger. Mm-hmm. The old saying, right, nobody cares what you know until they know that you care.
Right.
You know.
Love it.
So I think that's how you approach everything. You've got to build the trust, earn the trust and respect from the clients, show them that you're going to give their all for that. I tell every single client, I look them in the eyes. First of all, if I can't look at somebody in the eyes and tell them this, I'm not working with them.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I will run through a brick wall for you as my client.
Love
Absolutely. That. I will do just about anything for you besides walking across the table and slapping somebody in the face. I'm not going to, that's where we got to draw the line, right? But I'll try just about anything, and what I like to do is build up my tool belt. So in whatever scenario that comes across, because I'm constantly learning. I'm never going to stop learning. I'm always going to be green. They say when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rot. So always learning, always adding to the tool belt. So when the scenario comes up, I might not need a hammer. I might need a saw. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just need to give it a tap, right? But it all depends, and you have to have that in the back pocket to be able to deploy when that situation comes up. So we can talk a little more about creative financing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a lot of us agents, we deal mainly with conventional FHA, VA, some very normal loans. And when we see some things that we're not used to, it can throw us and put us in a spot where we feel uncomfortable because we aren't prepared. Yeah. So the point is to prepare as if every single day is a game day. And I guess it comes from my background, you might be able to tell by now, is in sports. Played football for a while and ended with an injury. And that's when I'd made the gap and bridged over.
So you played professional football out of the country?
Correct. Awesome. So I played in college. I played at University of Massachusetts. Played after that, grad school, transferred, graduated in 3 years on pre-med track. Was planning to be a doctor. Funny how I'm a different kind of plastic surgeon now and getting a credit card. No, but I studied that, finished up at University of Tennessee, which obviously is the ties here to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And that was about 16 years ago. Coming here and since then fell in love with Tennessee and the people and have a lot of great connections. After that, I did go on, bounced around different leagues, didn't get the contract I wanted, and 6 different teams I was going between in the NFL. They got another quarterback filled the spot, and I was like, okay, well, next one. Okay, I'm flying to Baltimore tomorrow.
Wow.
Oh no, they signed another. Okay, I'm going, and working with my agents there, and had another offer that was kind of the one in the hand. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go play there until that offer comes in over here. Bounced between a few different leagues, and ended up over in Europe, and then was going to go to Canada after that.
Wow.
And ended up getting injured. And as many people end their career in sports is through an injury. And after that, a bunch of fun things ensued. There was closing one door and opening another, truly.
Yeah, I always believe something like the worst thing that ever could happen to us, because there was a dream, right? It turns out to be the best thing, for our future. But your background is definitely probably why you are successful today, and that drive and that commitment to not give up and continue to go, I think is huge. So you made it back after an injury to Tennessee, and then you made a shift at that point to see other places.
I did.
Go off the ocean, across the way.
Yeah. I tell people my car, right, is I've shipped it to Hawaii and back. And I'm like, my car has seen more travel than a lot of humans have.
Wow.
And so what was your thought on headed to Hawaii? Where did Hawaii come into play?
All right. So I was playing in Germany at the time. I was out there for 2
Guten
years.
Tag. That's all I know.
Guten Tag. Das ist sehr gut.
That's all I got there for you.
Deutsch, ja.
I sang out there a few times, but that's about it. That's all I got. Everybody.
That's a tough language, by the way.
Oh, it sounds tough.
Yeah.
It's... you should know it.
Yeah,
You got
right.
your
I
name,
should.
right?
I got the name. That's right.
I love it.
So I played out there, got injured, was, again, planning on going to Canada after that. So I was getting prepared kind of for going to the cold and playing there. And, it came to an abrupt stop. And at that point, kind of had everything shaken up, right? When you're an athlete, the goal is always, as a football player, you're going to the NFL.
Sure.
That's how I'm going to set up my life. You're planning for that. And my backup plan was medicine. So I studied to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. That was the track I was on.
Wow.
Had worked in hospitals and been very exposed in working in that environment. And at the point when I got injured, I kind of had this opportunity to look at things with everything slowing down. In football, your days are planned out for you. In college, man, you are at 5 a.m. workouts. You got study hall after that. You got meetings.
Sure.
You got classes, which as a quarterback, you're not even allowed to get bad grades. That's not a question. Sure. Every sprint, every class, everything, you're finishing first.
Wow.
You were in the front of the class, and I wanted to be. I was also studying something that wasn't underwater basket weaving.
Sure.
I actually had real classes that were very, Calc 2 was one thing I'm never going to use.
Nor am I. Yeah, too bad.
Imaginary numbers. I'm like, why are they imaginary? Can we just have real numbers? That'd be fine. Those are hard enough. Trust me.
Right.
Really?
After that, I evaluated. I was like, okay, so now once I get healed up, I got to find a place. I can kind of live wherever I'm living.
So you really had I'm sorry, just pause for a second.
Yeah.
This massive injury you had with your body like that, here you are studying to be an orthopedic surgeon, or that's where you're heading. You really knew what was going on there, didn't you?
All too much, yes. Yeah. Well, so the injury I suffered was I tore my syndesmosis, which everybody knows what that is, right? So it's the ligament that connects your tib and your fib over your ankle. Okay,
Wow.
So without it, if here's your ankle, tib and fib, every step you take, those bones separate around your ankle, doesn't feel good. Don't do it. Bad things. But I injured, so my syndesmosis, my ankle, my knee, and my hip. So I ended up having to have a surgery, which, God willing, I was actually in a place where they do a surgery that we don't here.
Oh.
And so it's a Kevlar tightrope surgery. So they drilled and put a Kevlar tightrope through my tib and fib, capped each side. And so now I tell people I'm bulletproof as long as you shoot me directly in the ankle right there. I'm bulletproof.
There you go. I love it.
But and they did some really cool stuff. I went into surgery. It's the guy just did the same surgery to a one of the soccer players that plays in he played in the World Cup and all this for those teams. So
Wow.
I guess that's pretty good, right? So I was like, that's my guy.
Sure.
I want him.
He'll put you back together.
So he put me in his schedule. I had to show up super early. I go in there. Meine Deutsch ist nicht gut. That means it's not good. Okay. That's about all I know. So I can tell people I don't speak German. That's how you know if somebody doesn't know. They can tell you they don't. Or and ask where the bathroom is and where some food is. That's about it. But I go in and he doesn't speak a lick of English.
Oh no.
And so I'm trying to tell him, like, hey, make sure it's this leg, not this one. And they put me in a room. Have you ever seen Tom and Jerry? When they run behind like the X-ray, you can see them like running and there's a skeleton.
Yeah.
They put me in a room that had a live X-ray.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever seen that in real life outside of the cartoons, but that's literally like a cartoon. And so they had this screen, and so I'm trying to communicate with the doc. I'm like, hey, bud, grab my phone. I want to like take a video. This is so cool. He reaches in.
Could you see it? I mean, you're behind it. Could you see it?
Oh, wow.
And I'm weird, right? Because I'm a nerd in a lot of ways. You're going to find out. So I've always said I'm a nerd put in a athlete's body, right?
Sure.
But in there, and whenever I'm with a doctor, I'd speak to them very different. I joke around, but I do understand what's going on, which is helpful and helped me to be able to heal. I bet you didn't realize I'd been injured the way that I had when you'd met me, but I continue to have to work on it every day, like brushing my teeth. Now, I was trying to get my phone from him to take this video because I saw these two skeleton hands reach in, grab my leg, and start manipulating it. And your tib and fib are moving around, and that confirmed that it was completely torn.
Wow.
And I was like, that's the coolest thing, and didn't feel great, but, sure.
Yeah.
And even joking around when I was like, this leg or this leg, one of the techs they had, he spoke English enough, but he joked with me before he put me out. So I was like, all right, make sure it's this leg. All right. And he's like, all right, count down from 100. Here's your sedative. You can get ready for surgery. And I'm like, 100. 99. He's like, wait, which leg is it again?
Oh, no.
He's
That's
like, it's
mean.
that one, right? And I'm
That's
like,
mean.
I'm like, no,
That's
it's 7.
No.
And I pass out. And so I wake up in the recovery unit, and I'm like,
oh no,
what? Like I'm like feeling through. I'm like, oh, he got me.
Oh,
and I'm like, so I just started laughing in there, like a crazy person. They probably kept me in there longer. Like, all right, he's got some mental issues coming out of the. But so that was its own wild saga of an experience there. And at that moment I could kind of go wherever. I didn't have a wife, didn't have kids, don't even have a dog. Like, all right, I can kind of pick where I want to go. I'd been to Hawaii once before. While I was there, I was like, this place is pretty cool. It's literally paradise, right? And I was like, I could probably live there. If it sucks, I'll leave, right? I knew one family. Still one of my best friends. His name's Jamie Lawrence. I call him the most interesting man in the world.
Love it.
He's singer, songwriter, flew helicopters in Vietnam. Obviously, there's a little bit of an age difference between us. And but he's one of my best friends, and that's kind of how it works. Just like when I came in here and meeting you guys, like good people seem to
age difference
come together.
I love it.
Well, how many? We're only a few years different.
Thank
I mean,
you.
there's not as
I
much
still give
of
it to
that.
him. It's fine. Totally fine.
Good people come
so
together.
you're in Hawaii now, right? Did you bring the surfboard, or like you were thinking did you even have direction at the time? Like you just landed there, right?
I didn't own a surfboard. I grew up snowboarding.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's very
Michigan.
different, by the way. Very different.
Right.
But no, I went out there. I really had to just start over.
Yeah.
That was its own adventure.
And you were telling me that so many people are in real estate there. Is that what kind of like attracted you to
No.
it was like, why would you want to get in a pool
nothing
of
to do
everybody?
with real estate. I can promise you that. When I moved out there, I was going through rehab. I just finished my surgery. 2 weeks after it, I was able to fly. So I was fresh. So I wheelchaired off the flight when I moved to Maui. And at that point, I told you I'd been out there once. I didn't really know what was going on. I knew one family. And so I'd tell people it was basically, all right, where do I want to live? I was going to go to Canada and be cold. So eeny, meeny, miny, Maui. Let's go there.
There you go.
Why not? All right, cool. Let's
Makes sense.
rehab on the beach.
Yeah.
Could be worse places.
No,
Yeah.
I like
give it a go. My mom's like, are you sure about this?
Yeah.
It's like,
We're doing it.
Yeah,
We're doing it.
They have flights coming back every day. You know that, right? Okay. Yeah.
I love it. So you get over there, you're working on rehab, and then what attracts you into this crazy business out of medicine, into real estate?
Yeah. So I saw similarities between the two. Actually, when I first got out there, I I couldn't walk. I was rehabbing,
Sure.
right? And so during that time, I was actually working doing wedding planning and coordinating. I know everybody makes it
The event planner, Mr. Hallmark over here.
natural transition from football to weddings, as everybody does.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah,
it's
you
getting more
getting
interesting.
even better and better.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because my friends, they had a wedding planning company, and they're
Love
like,
it.
well, you played quarterback, you
You can
you can coordinate people, right? That's what you do on the field. I'm like, gosh, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, let's give that a go. So I've done over 100 weddings in Maui.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and like beachfront weddings, beautiful. I'll have to show you these pictures and videos. It's fantastic.
Too funny.
Really, really cool. And as I was getting further through rehab, I was like reevaluating. I got time to think, and I was like, well, I could go back to med school. I could give them money. They're going to give me education. That's how that works. And you acquire all the debt. You take on a lot of liabilities. And they tell you, where you're going to go, work in residency. It's like, man, that's a long road, a lot of liability. I'd worked in hospitals and seen how medicine goes. And it's really dictated a lot by insurance, which that's a whole different topic we could dive down.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I could do that. Or what I've always been studying in the background has been real estate, because I know that's where the wealthiest people invest. I mean, I didn't know all the facets of it. I just knew, okay, that's a good moneymaker. Smart people are doing that. I should probably look into doing that, right? So when I get my money as a doc, I'm going to invest it in real estate. So I was like, well, why don't I just cut out the middleman? Why don't I learn the game that I want to play inside and out, and know all the rules to it and know how to manipulate it. And that way I can set myself up for success while I'm helping other people reach success in it. And I've always believed if I help enough people get whatever they want, I can have whatever I want.
Very nice. Yeah.
So that's a strong motivator for me. So I was like, all right, and this is a cool place. I can show people oceanfront real estate in Maui.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and do that. So I got my real estate license and started up in real estate there. And so I worked with investors from luxury real estate to condos to every which different facet, leasehold properties, which it was pretty much every day I had to explain the difference between a leasehold property and a fee simple property, which is something we don't really talk about and most people don't even know about in the rest of
Do you want to share what that is?
States. So yeah, sure. Not that we're going to run into it too much in Nashville, but what a leasehold property is it basically operates like a long-term lease. So when you buy into a leasehold property, they have a set term limit that's on it. Say it's 50 years that you'd own this for, and then it would revert back to the lessor. So the person actually owns the land. So you're going to own the improvements upon the land, and there is somebody else that owns the land. And you are also paying a lease to be able to
And we're starting actually to see a little bit of that, a little bit more.
Groundly
is kind of coming to town, and we're kind of navigating through that. And that's actually, I think this is the first year that we're seeing that, right?
Yeah. I don't like it. I mean, I'm not saying that the leasehold is bad. I just don't like the groundly thing, because it is a 55-year lease that goes up in 2% per year as that basis for that rent over and above what the house payment is. But it makes it look really attractive when you can buy a $500,000 home for $350,000. That's how they're
And it probably
Totally.
works more out in Hawaii because of the price points, right? So I mean, you're needing to use creativity, right, to be able to get the price points in a place where there's some sort of comfort and affordability. Yeah, so that makes sense on that. And then we're used to here being the fee simple, where you're owning both the land and
you own the ground, the land, the improvements upon there, the air above it, and everything in between, right? So you own it in perpetuity. You can pass it down to your heirs. That's fee simple ownership, as most people understand owning real estate.
Yeah.
But leasehold, to go back to that for just a moment, it's not something that's really terrible. It's, again, having a tool belt and different tools on it.
Sure.
That's a tool on the tool belt.
Yeah.
It works really well for investors. If you're going to buy a property that's leasehold, you're going to rent it out. You're obviously going to run some numbers before you're purchasing this. A lot of people, it's a lower price point. You're going to be able to cash flow at a higher rate. That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Look,
From that perspective,
I ask people, when they're looking at Hawaii, you're going to go on a vacation. I don't know. Maybe you like Maui's your spot. You like to go to Maui and take your family there every year, every other year. I mean, what if you could have a place there that you own,
right?
that also makes you money, But say it breaks even. Say it doesn't make you money. What if it broke even? You had a place that you could go and stay and take your family, and you stay 2, 3, 4 weeks out of the year, every single year.
Well, a 4-week vacation, though. Now you're talking, my friend.
Well, if you're going to fly all the way out there, right? I mean, you might as well stay. If you don't stay a week when you're going to Hawaii.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's a hard place for that. So the other thing in Hawaii, like you shared, there's beauty, right? I mean, and the price of beauty is not cheap. So you were able to jump in and build a confidence, on these higher price points really fast in your career. Where I think some people, and we talked about this before, luxury in Middle Tennessee, some of us veer away from it. I know when I moved here, to do a jumbo loan, I just got super nervous. So I just veered away from it. I stood in the lane or stayed in the lane that I felt was the most comfortable. Being courageous and just jumping out, you had to do that because that's what was selling, right? And so you were talking about some price points that are up there.
Totally. So as far as Hawaii goes, we would say that there is a price to paradise.
There you go. Yeah.
There's totally a price to paradise. And I mean, across the board. I mean, when you're looking on a political side and taxes that you have to pay, I mean, half of your money is going away instantly. So you're like, oh, I had a good year. Oh, wait. And then I've got expenses on top of that. Not such a good year anymore. And making ends meet. It was really, really, I had an $800 electric bill with solar.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a very expensive place all around. And then the real estate obviously is very, very expensive. When you have land on an island, they're not making any more land anywhere, but they're definitely not making any more oceanfront real estate.
Right.
So these are some crazy, it commands very high price points. Now, yes, there are some wild numbers, and you deal with people. But at the end of the day, if you're writing up a contract, you're negotiating, you're taking somebody from start to finish, it's the same amount of work, whether it's $600,000 or if it's $6 million or if it's $60 million. Now the stress might be a little different, but still, it's the same amount of work.
Right.
And really, if somebody's spending $60,000 for a property, I mean, it's hard-earned money that somebody has that they're dealing with. When you're dealing with some bigger numbers, actually some of that gets easier. A lot of the people that are out there or that are able to afford and have, worked to a point where they're able to buy that kind of house, that's not their first transaction. They know what's going on, and that brings some stresses, sure, but also what an opportunity to learn. I mean, if you are approaching it with that mentality, I mean, I'll share with you some of the first buyers I was working with there are investors. They were looking to have a rental property just like I was talking about, and they're going to rent that through short-term rental, have their vacations when they were there, and then rent it when they're not. And he's like, Mike, you got to make sure you find me a place, this, and it's got to be at least a 5 cap. And I was like, oh, absolutely. I turn around and I'm like,
what is he talking about?
Yeah, it's a cap. It's like, all right, I got to figure this out. And, capitalization rate. So, but just looking at what numbers are going to make sense, and you're learning a lot when you're thrown into the fire. I think that's a good way to learn. And it definitely shows you that you need to continue adding to the tool belt. So it's something the same as in football. I would compare it. If I go into a game and I'm nervous, that means I didn't prepare enough. I've always gone into every game, just like if you go to a listing appointment, you go to have more buyer's appointments are going to be happening now too out there. It was less of that. It's, especially through a few years that we had, you grab the buyer and kind of hold on. But right now you really need to have your tools sharpened. But going into those appointments too and having that confidence of knowing, just like in football, I compare a lot of things to sports. So if people get that, that's great. If they don't, sorry. But every single game I went into, I knew I was going to win.
You have to go with that mentality. Yeah,
Carey Ann can relate to that for sure.
Definitely.
So you made it to Tennessee. You've only been here a short time, really, and it feels like and it looks like you hit the ground running. So we have a lot of transplants here, even in the real estate community. What is the secret sauce to hit the ground running? Just duplicate what you did and learned in Hawaii, and I understand you're getting your license in Florida as well. So 2 states is not enough. You've got to do 3 states. Is that what I hear?
I like my plate to be overfilling at all times. I've got an appetite. Okay. And it's totally overflowing on all sides, but it's a good thing. I wake up, I love what I do. Like I said, I'm a nerd, and really, I've taken it from all the efforts I put into sports and transitioned it to the new field of real estate. And yeah, I wake up, I live, breathe. You can ask my girl, she'll tell you, I am listening to podcasts, I am reading, I'm just absorbing as much content as I can to add and, like I said, add to the tool belt. And I will never stop doing that. Now, I wish there was a secret sauce. If somebody has it, I would love to pour that over my dinner. But there is no secret sauce. And I'm glad you say you hit the ground running. I never feel like I've made it. I don't know if I'll ever have that feeling. I like what Ed Milet says, if you follow Ed at all. But he says, be blissfully dissatisfied. And that resonates a lot, you know, so I'll always be dissatisfied knowing that I can accomplish more. I hate the word potential. It's the P word, you know, in sports. If somebody says you have potential, that means, all right, you're leaving something on the table. Right? I want to fulfill every little bit of potential that I have. And
I love that.
As far as coming into a new market, starting over, dive into it. Research, research, meet people, get out there, put yourself into different groups, work around in the market. I mean, just talk to people that are already doing it, find people that are having success, ask them for help. Ask them, hey, Monte, that's part of the reason I'm here. Gosh, you've got so much experience. I came in, I was blown away. I was like, you know what? Realty One, I had heard of them. They're on Maui. And, you know, I'd seen them around town a little bit. And I had a lot of friends. I've got friends that are brokers at a lot of brokerages out here. And they invited me in. And those were hard conversations to have with friends of mine that I'm not going to be joining them, even though we would have made a fantastic team.
Sure.
This is the spot for me. I know I can learn so much from you, Monte.
Well, that's a huge compliment, brother.
Well,
I'm learning from you.
It's true. It's easy to say because you have so much knowledge. You're willing to share. You have the heart is where it starts, back to the very beginning of our conversation. And anybody that meets you knows that, and they can see that right away.
And your passion, one thing you shared with me too, is that, you know, nobody's a stranger, which I think is huge in our industry. You know, there's so much potential everywhere, right? There's so potential, excuse me, the bad word, but there's so much there's so much opportunity. That's what I want to say. There's so much opportunity, you know, out there to be able, you just never know who you're going to meet, right? What I'm saying is you should meet everybody because you just never know that you may just connect with that person. And, oh, by the way, that person knows this person and that person, you know, and it makes a huge difference. The other thing is what I love to hear is sometimes you have to torch your business and regroup it. So you and I could still be in this industry here locally for so many years. I've been in it for a long time here locally. What got me here won't get me there. I have to reignite myself, right? If not, others that are coming to town, the transplants, are going to maybe have a little more hunger, right? The drive. They're studying, and I love that because you've got to prepare for an opportunity you don't have before, you know, versus having the opportunity not being prepared, right? You just never know who you're going to talk to.
Yep.
It may be the investor, maybe the first-time home buyer, maybe this person, maybe that person. It may be somebody who needs creative financing. If they talk over your head and you're not willing to learn and dial in to know exactly, that's a lost opportunity right there, right?
So true.
And it sounds like you're not going to let you're not going to let. I was trying to go back to football, but I don't know it enough to. Because you were the quarterback. I was like, you're not going to let any pass go through. But, you know, never let an opportunity, you know, just go by, right? I mean, you're going to figure it out and you're going to capture that. And that's where my heart is as well. If somebody's excited to purchase real estate, we should be able to help them. And you and I see so many transactions go through, like down the river, you know, type of thing. And I was like, no, catch that. You know, that's somebody who's excited to buy real estate, whether it's an investor or first-time home buyer, you know, commercial, like you referenced as well.
The thing you don't know about Carey Ann is she's not magical, but she has a reputation of resurrecting the dead. I mean, seriously, she resurrects the dead.
Yeah, I do.
She is, you know, I mean, seriously, she takes deals one after another that have been turned down by other lenders, and I had to sprinkle her magic sauce on it.
I love it.
But you have the magic sauce.
I have.
That's who has it.
Yeah, I love it.
Share.
But
well, let's do some deals together too.
Yes,
but
we're gonna
always
do that.
have deals that need some sprinkling.
Always. But why is that? Because I study my craft. I know guidelines. I want to be on a game show. Where's the mortgage game show?
Yeah, really.
I was like, challenge CA game show.
Yeah. I've thought about getting some big names here locally, and I'll challenge them into real estate. You know, some of the people on billboards and things like that.
So my partner, he and I have been together 17 years. And so he comes down, he's like, I got one for you. What's the guideline? Blah, 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 right? And he's expecting me, because I'm the one that is out and about and doing it. I study my craft, even where I am in my field right now, every week. And I answered that like I was, no whammies, baby, no whammies, bam. And he's like, how did you know that? I was like, because I study my craft. You should know that, you know, as well. So that's why we make a good team, because we know the guidelines together. But that is what makes you different, and that's what allows you the opportunity to come from one market and be successful in another, right? Totally. And just kind of continue to drive through.
On that same note, how can you be so assured? Because I go in, right, if I'm going in on a listing, right, you're going to work with me not because I've sold all these homes, not because I've got experience doing this, and because I just sold that house down the street. Sure. People are like, oh gosh, they know everybody that wants to buy in this neighborhood. No, not always really the case, and most often, no. You're going to work with me because I am the best person to help you. And I know that, and I can say that with 100% confidence, because I know I've worked with a lot of agents that are out there.
I hope everybody's picking up what he's putting down here, guys. It starts on an inside. Right. It's an inside gig, okay? You didn't hear any hesitation.
Confidence.
It's about confidence, not cockiness, but confidence. And you communicate that through your eyes, through your body language, not just your voice. And it's not blowing smoke. I promise you that. That's
right. I'm having a conversation. I forget we are talking to agents, right? And that is so important. Can you honestly say, I am 100% the best option to help you to buy, to sell, to find your next investment? Can you say that and mean it? That's the big thing.
And that goes back to the question, are you interested or are you committed, right? Are you totally in it to win it within this field? And if you are, you will be, because you would know all of it. You would know every lyric to every song. You would know how to connect, right? When somebody crosses my desk and they immediately say something, and I go, I know that that's not a conforming loan. I also know that's not a non-conforming loan. You actually need to talk to this person at this bank, right? Because I've done my homework to know who to connect the dots with.
Well, that's
and
a
you
good
can
point
do that
too,
as well.
Is you don't necessarily have to know everything, but you have to be willing to learn it.
Yeah.
Sometimes what I've found, some agents on the field of creative finance, I'll say something about it, like, oh, okay, yeah. And they'll turn around, and it's not a problem to, have something said, and you go out and seek the information, you find it out, and you want to learn. But to pretend or shoot something down and pretend like people can read through that. Right. They can know. What I've found is some of the best agents I've come across, I've mentioned to them, they say, hey, Mike, honestly, I've never done something like that before. I don't know how that works. Can you help share with me? And I've communicated a lot. I've coached a lot of other agents. I'm happy to do it, but it's how that you come across. It's where, exactly like you said, it comes from within first. It's how you present yourself. It's not necessarily that you have to be somebody that knows everything. Nobody knows everything.
Remain curious.
You're never going to know everything.
Yeah. I love that. What he's talking about too is, being in a market that's so different than Nashville, you had to learn a different type of creative financing that would allow real estate to continue, right?
Totally. Yeah. So something out there that was very, very common, is common all over the place. Here it's very common too. Seller financing. That was something early on, I didn't realize at the beginning of coming into it that you could just you could be the bank.
Sure.
Seems like we're breaking rules. Wait a second. So you're telling me my property, I can sell it to you, and then I get to pick all the terms. I get to pick the interest. I get to you're going to pay me interest on my own money. Wait, so I have an investment still, even though I just sold my investment. Think about that. So that was eye-opening, and I was like, that is a really cool tool to be able to use. And it came from working with people that owned companies. They had bought a lot of investment properties. They'd done it this way. And so that's something that I look at. It's another tool on the tool belt. It's not always the right choice to use. Yeah. There's subject to. So I'm part of different communities. Subject to financing is one it's become more of a hot topic. A lot of people are jumping in, learning. Pace Morby has he'll actually be here tomorrow in Nashville. I'll be meeting up with him downtown. And we've got a huge group that's out here and talk about doing different creative strategies, but it's about surrounding yourself with people that are doing these kind of deals, seeking the information, and not being afraid to go ahead and step outside the box and get outside of your comfort zone, because that's always where you grow.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just a tool. So you may not use it on the regular, but it's there, if needed. And everybody's got their lane. There's some people that are watching that just love working with first-time home buyers. Then there's others that we've had on the podcast that just focus on a certain type of luxury. We've got other people that just want to stay niche in Franklin or niche in Hendersonville. Just working with investors short term. Midterm is a hot, topic right now too, and how do we allow, folks to be able to pull money out of one and, put it down on the next and continue to snowball that and continue to grow wealth. So do you for you, but knowing that when opportunity crosses your path, that you have a go-to, you have a great sphere of people that possibly can train and coach you into, the different, more modern way of, getting deals to the table. So this was great information. We're welcoming you here to Nashville. Excited to work with you and have many more of the local RG agents and family get to meet.
Yeah. I'm continually impressed, Mike. I appreciate you being in my life, man.
Hey, a quarterback doesn't catch the ball; it throws the ball. Just so you know. Hey.
Seriously, take this guy to lunch sometime. You want to rock your world. And just be a sponge.
The quickest way to my heart is through my stomach. That is for sure. But no, it's really a blessing to be here with you guys. We'll totally be doing business together.
I love that.
And we'll be learning a lot from you. Every single agent in here is.
I will tell you, I learn more from this guy each and every time we get together. So absorb, right?
Yep.
Make it happen. So thank you again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We can't wait to have you come back. You've been listening to the Talk of Music City Real Estate.